equal to 1 of your human years.
You can do that.
The Beyonder can do many things.
Welcome to another exciting episode from Marvelous Videos. I'm your host, Tia Ayer. Everything we know so far about Avengers: Secret Wars. It's been a while since Marvel Studios made their way to San Diego Comic-Con, but after 3 years they made their triumphant return, but not only addressing their current developing projects, but also shedding new light on the future of MCU. And we gotta tell you, it's looking rather promising.
There's this intergalactic entity named the Beyonder, and he wants to see who would win in a battle of good against evil.
Despite the increasing monotony of MCU films in recent years, just the mention of Secret Wars was enough to electrify our senses and drive us into an overdrive of anticipation. Because according to Kevin, Secret Wars will mark the end of the Multiverse Saga of the MCU. And if Endgame was any indication, it's going to be absolutely massive.
No, which one is stronger?
You're crazy. There's no way you can do that.
But you are wrong.
But what exactly are the Secret Wars? Who are all going to fight in it? And why exactly is it such a big deal? We're going to break down all of that and more in this video. This is everything that we know so far about Avengers: Secret Wars. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
The first thing I will do is end this distracted and unnecessary
How
war.
did the Secret Wars concept take shape in the first place? This might sound a bit ridiculous at first, but the entire season that Marvel's biggest crossover event ended up happening was because of Mattel.
Seismic activity. I should take the lead. My spider sense will at least give us some warning of danger.
Believe it or not, back in the 80s, comic books still weren't as much of a mainstream commodity as they are today. In fact, they were just picking up commercial steam, and that meant that the merchandising potential of comics was still untapped. DC Comics has partnered with Kenner to produce toys within the licensed likeness of DC superheroes, and while Mattel had He-Man, one of the most successful original toys in the company's history, they wanted to shore up their lines to capitalize on what they considered to be the next big fad.
That was awesome!
And so Mattel entered negotiations with Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Jim Shooter to collaborate on an entirely new range of toys that would feature their seminal creations in brand new avatars. In order to make this drastic shift in aesthetic to make some sort of sense of their comic book audience, Shooter and company worked with Mattel to develop a self-contained storyline that would help boost the toy sales. Little did they know that they were creating the biggest crossover storyline that Marvel Comics would have ever done at this point. The original Secret Wars was a 12-issue miniseries that ran from 1984 to 1985 and managed to smash sale records for Marvel despite being critically panned back then.
Who is it? What's going on?
Forget the security test. It's the Avengers.
Hey, wait! They didn't call me.
Now it's considered to be one of the most iconic stories of Marvel that has ever been told, with Secret Wars having inadvertently influenced the events of the mainstream continuity as being retold 3 decades later in a brand new mold by Jonathan Hickman, whose run with Marvel has inspired most of the MCU films. This 2015 version of Street Wars was far more integrated with the overall continuity of Marvel Comics and would turn out to be even better than its predecessor, because unlike the 80s, toy sales didn't shackle Hickman's creative process, which allowed him to craft a world that can only be described as a Marvel fanboy's fever dreams brought into reality.
Then why would Red Skull send it?
Once we hunt down Red Skull, we'll get our answers. And some.
While the first Secret Wars was a lighthearted affair, the second one was a multiverse-threatening anomaly. And while both of them are iconic in their own right, we think that the MCU is going to be smashing up elements from every title that use the word Secret Wars in it to give us an entirely unique story with elements that we will still recognize from the comics. Having given you the lowdown on how the Secret Wars came about, let us tell you what happened in them and how it might play out in the MCU.
To you, this challenge. Restore this planet to its rightful owners and banish evil from their presence.
The first Secret Wars 1984. The first incarnation of the Secret Wars was more like a Roman-style gladiatorial tournament that was arranged by one of the most powerful beings in the cosmos. The Beyonder was originally introduced as the cosmic being of Marvel Comics.
Think of me as one from beyond. Call me the Beyonder.
He came from the Beyond Realm, a place so huge that the universe would seem like a drop of water within it. The Beyonder came to the Marvel Universe out of boredom, and after observing the superheroes and villains of Earth fight against one another with the utmost amusement, he used his reality warping abilities to create Battleworld, a planet that would end up becoming an elaborate death game stadium.
Use it and choose your game pieces wisely. For your only chance to save this planet and return home.
The Beyonder told his tournament participants that they must slay each other and that the victor will receive any reward that they so desire, as nothing was beyond the scopes of his powers. This was the premise upon which the first Secret Wars were fought, with the participants being the Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and solo heroes like Spider-Man on the hero side, and heavy hitters like Doc Ock, Dr. Doom, Kang the Conqueror, and Molecule Man forming their opposition. Over the course of 12 issues, the two sides fight it out, with a few of them even challenging the Beyonder out of sheer hubris. And the first Secret Wars end with most of the heroes and villains returning to Earth safely, while the Thing stays behind at Battleworld to study the cosmos for a calendar year.
Over evil, you will all be returned to your rightful places on Earth, and you will retain no memory of this event.
Secret Wars ended up causing some major changes to the main continuity of multiple Marvel titles, with She-Hulk getting involved with the Fantastic Four, the Hulk going feral again, the X-Men reevaluating their priorities, and Spider-Man gaining a certain gooey suit that we will talk about in a bit. That's the first Secret Wars explained in a nutshell, and while we think that specific instances from the saga will be adapted into the movie, we don't think that this will be the entire premise of Avengers Secret Wars. That movie is going to be pulling from the other Secret Wars, which kicked off in 2015 and saw Stan Lee's personal favorite antagonist in the driver's seat, Dr. Doom.
Now you did it. I have taken over the powers of the Beyonder. I have sent the evildoers back to Earth.
The second Secret Wars 2015. Hickman's Secret War felt much more like a grand cosmic mystery because, well, it was. Time Runs Out is not just the name of an episode from Loki. It is also the title of an event that directly precedes the 2015 Secret Wars. In it, the Beyonders, the race of beings from whom the Beyonder came, mess up the entire multiverse by making Earth 616 collide with Ultimate Earth in an effort to destroy all the known creation. In the aftermath of the said cosmic destruction, one man emerged as the ultimate existence in the new world, Dr. Doom.
Used it to combine the Beyonder's powers with my own. Imagine the possibility.
Using the remnants of the cosmic energies left behind by the Beyonders, he stitched together those parts of the multiverse and still remained in an enormous singular planet called Battleworld. Here he gathered every hero and villain from the remnants of the multiverse and created a feudal society with barons and fiefdoms and Doom as the God Emperor at the top of the pecking order. Only two other beings remembered exactly what went down at the precise moment of the multiverse's destruction by the actions of the Beyonders, and it is their efforts that help the good side take out the mad Latvian despot and knock him off his scavenged perch.
Planet is not big enough for all of us.
My sentiments exactly.
No.
This version of the Secret Wars was even a greater crossover than the first one, as it featured a far more diverse and colorful cast of characters and had even more lasting consequences on the Marvel Multiverse's continuity than its predecessor. Sitting here and breaking down this entire event might just spoil what can become the most ambitious Avengers movie to date. So we're not going to do that. Not exactly that anyway. Instead, we're going to try to guess just how the MCU's version of Secret Wars is going to play out.
And now, to put my plan into action.
Possible plot of Avengers Secret Wars explored. Given the fact that the MCU prefers adapting material from Hickman's run with Marvel Comics, we think that it's safe to say that the Secret Wars we'll get in the movies will be largely based on the 2015 version. With that in mind, let's talk about the premise of Secret Wars 2015, which was introduced in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and that is incursions. The 2015 Secret Wars emerged from the ashes of an incursion that was engineered by the Beyonders between Earth 616 and Earth 1610, the main and ultimate continuities respectively. As a result of the said incursion, heroes from both universes ended up fighting each other in an attempt to protect their own realities, and inadvertently allowed Doom to soak up all the cosmic powers left for the taking and fashion Battleworld out of them. We know that incursions are a thing in the MCU. In fact, in the post-credits scene of Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange goes off in the dark dimension with Clea to stop them from taking place. And as far as we can tell, they are setting him up as the next Iron Man-type figure for the MCU's heroes, which is why we see Wong interacting with many of the rumored members of the new Avengers team like Shang-Chi. And if any of you have read the 2015 Secret Wars storyline, then you know just how integral Strange it is to that story. So Doctor Strange will emerge as the primary protagonist heading into the conclusion of the Multiverse Saga, something that he helped kick off all the way back in No Way Home. But that's the big goodie of Secret Wars and the mechanism for how Battleworld will be created explained. Why will all of this madness end up taking place? 3 simple words: Kang Multiversal War. Kang the Conqueror is being set up as the biggest bad guy of the MCU heading towards Phase 5.
They share technology and knowledge, using the best of their universes to improve.
His sole appearance in the finale of Loki Season 1 was enough for us to understand the sheer scale at which he operates. But there's something very interesting that He Who Remains tells Loki and Sylvie before they end up killing him. He says that the last multiversal war nearly destroyed the entire multiverse, and had it not been for the centuries of effort that He Who Remains had put into creating the sacred timeline, there would be no reality left for them to stand within. But now, with the cautious and foresighted version of Kang being killed, it seems like his variants will be able to finish the job that He Who Remains prevented from being completed the first time around. Avengers Secret War isn't the next Avengers movie in the MCU. It takes place after Avengers Kang Dynasty, both of which will be released in the same year, 6 months apart. Judging by the title of the 5th Avengers movie, it is clear that the film is going to be focusing on Kang's multiversal war. It's quite possible that Kang Dynasty will follow the template of Avengers Infinity War and give our heroes a crushing defeat before giving them the chance to make things right.
Give it up, Kang!
Kang does not give up.
More likely than not, Kang will end up destroying the multiverse, and its remnants are what we see in Secret Wars. As for who will create Battleworld in the MCU, there can only be one person, isn't it? And his name, ironically enough, is Doom. Avengers Secret Wars is going to be the last movie in the Multiverse Saga, and will tie up all the events of Phase 4 through 6. And what does Phase 6 kick off with? Drum rolls, please. The Fantastic Four reboot. It is impossible for the MCU to include Reed Richards into the continuity and ignore Victor Von Doom, because their rivalry can be considered to be the foundation for everything Marvel Comics is.
Want it back? Come and get it.
Doom is the most iconic Marvel villain, period. Don't let the MCU's polished presentations of Thanos fool you into thinking otherwise. Dr. Doom is a few notches crazier and smarter than the Mad Titan, and is the perfect candidate for being revealed as the true big bad for the Multiverse Saga. And it is also possible that certain elements of the original Secret Wars might be adopted for this movie as well, in particular, the cover of issue number 8, which sees Peter Parker don the symbiote suit for the first time. The MCU's love for 80s culture could see the Beyonder enter the storyline looking like his Secret War 2 self, but that remains to be confirmed.
Goodbye. This was all a setup, wasn't it? I don't believe...
On the other hand, the zombieverse introduced in Marvel's What If and Infinity Killmonger and most of the stories told in that animated series can end up becoming canon to the main MCU continuity, if Marvel Studio plays their cards right. In fact, apart from these pieces of speculation, we don't have much else to offer you in terms of theorization. Yes, we'd like to bring up Agatha Harkness and her Coven of Chaos, and Loki Season 2, and Ant-Man, Quantumania, and a billion other things, but for now, this is what we're sticking with. Having discussed the basic plot of the Avengers Secret Wars might follow, we'd now like to transition to the prospective cast of the film.
Soul is mine. No! Suffering is the fate of those who challenge the gods.
Who will show up in Avengers Secret Wars? Based on the trajectory of the MCU and the actors who have been a part of it so far, and will be in the future, we feel rather comfortable in saying that Benedict Cumberbatch will be a confirmed presence in Secret Wars. He is the linchpin of the storyline, and it's therefore a no-brainer to include him in it. Apart from him, we also see appearances from Chris Hemsworth, Thor Ottensen, Brie Larson's Carol Danvers, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and John Krasinski's Reed Richards, as all of them are key players in Secret War storyline. If the rumors about their couple casting are true, then Emily Blunt might just end up becoming the MCU's Invisible Woman, who is also important to the Secret Wars effort. Other characters that could show up from the ones that we've seen so far from Marvel Studios: Mark Ruffalo's Hulk and Tatiana Maslany, She-Hulk, Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury, Anthony Mackie's Captain America, Tenoch Huerta's Namor the Submariner, the new Black Panther, Chris Pratt's Peter Quill, heck, even Jonathan Majors as yet another variant of King the Conqueror. The possibilities are truly endless given the scope of Secret Wars itself, but suffice it to say that it will be a crossover event at the level of Endgame, if not higher, simply given its premise. In Endgame, the epic superhero team-up only occurs towards, well, the movie's Endgame. If we are correct in anticipating the storyline of Avengers Secret Wars, then they won't have the exposition time needed to just chuck in a bunch of ensemble scenes given how intricate and Game of Thrones-esque the original storyline itself was. It is more likely that we will see the entire MCU family working with each other in the most unexpected ways to figure out how they are going to avoid their doom, both metaphorically and literally. But here is something that we can guarantee to you. Secret Wars will be the culmination of every Marvel story ever told on the big screen, and that includes the Fox films, because in the comics, storylines like Age of Apocalypse, Days of Future Past, and Civil War served as precursors to the formation of Battleworld. The first two of those three storylines have already been adapted, but Secret Wars given Kevin and the perfect excuse to kind of absorb all the scattered Marvel IP into one consolidated piece of artwork that aims to please all walks of Marvel fans. Whether it actually happens or not is up for debate, but it is a possibility and one we will not dismiss until we see the movie ourselves. Speaking of which, that might take a while because as of this moment, Avengers Secret Wars doesn't even come out for at least 3 years. Slated for a November 7th, 2025 release, it will be amongst the final embers of the Multiverse Saga, and Marvel has a lot of time to set it up and do it right. Between now and November 2025, literally dozens of MCU projects will be out, and we will be free to theorize the nitty-gritty of things when that time comes. But for now, we must satisfy ourselves with approximation and informed guesses.
Have you come to bow down before me?
Marvelous verdict. If you can't tell already, Secret Wars has been in the works for quite some time. It has been nearly a half a decade since rumors of its existence as a solo Avengers film started floating around the nerd circles, but now that we finally have confirmation, we feel both vindicated and extremely excited. Secret Wars is one of our personal favorites from Marvel here at Marvelous Videos, and we absolutely can't wait to see what the MCU does with it. Our only note to the creators would be to ditch the current formula that they are applying to Phase 4 films and TV shows because that tone and pacing is simply going to crumble under the weight of the Secret Wars. And besides, Dr. Doom does not do jokes, so we can't wait to see him get into an ego contest with Spider-Man. And if every other character serves as comic relief in their own films, then that takes away Peter's charm, doesn't it? Anyways, we hope that all of our rambling has thoroughly conveyed the extent of our anticipation for Secret Wars, and we will keep you updated on all new information about it as and when it breaks. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Come, your greatest challenge awaits.